get away, maybe in an affordable way, or at least one that's environmentally friendly? We found a guy who's doing this for a living, having a great time, and has some great ideas for us. Good morning, Brian Brawdy.
Kaylee, my friend, how are you? Doing? Nice to see you. How are you?
We've been having so much fun talking about your adventure, and we're going to give you some ideas on how to live more environmentally friendly. But I want to talk about your story and how this came to be, because he used to be an undercover cop in New York City.
Well, I actually started in all over New York and doing it, and then one day I got a call that my father had committed suicide. And, you know, Kaylee, I tell my friends that the real reason that I left is the sense of guilt was so great, I didn't trust myself with a handgun anymore. So I did what everyone else would do. I packed up everything I owned in a Subaru and drove and lived in Venice Beach in California for a year.
You know, he's making light of it, but you did. You hopped in your car, you started driving, and isn't it amazing when tragedy happens, there are some of us who are able to respond. You probably had no idea how you would respond, and you're really actually turning now what came of that epiphany, into your passion, and you're living it.
Well, thank you, my friend. I hope so. I went the route of the psychiatrists and the therapists and the priests and everyone else, and I didn't seem to find a way of erasing that sense of guilt until I spent time out in nature, all by myself. As you call the epiphany, that's when the little voice comes, and that's the voice that changed me, and now I teach other people about going out and finding that same voice for themselves.
It's great. I once heard Robin Roberts say, you make your mess your message. You've done that.
Oh,
let's take a look around what you've got here, because this is the ultimate RV. Talk to me about the wind turbines, first of all, and this is how you power this puppy, right?
It's one of three ways that we power it, Kaylee. The wind turbine here, and I've got the blade down here just as a little easier to shoot. What will happen is it telescopes up this pole, and then on a windy day, I'm able to power the 4 gel batteries that are on board. So the refrigerator, the vents, the lights, all the electronical equipment inside of the Lance camper itself are powered either by the wind, and we'll see the solar panels here in a little bit, but I like to call it off the road and off the grid.
Yeah, you see this guy going by and you go, what is that? It is the only one of its kind on the road. Can you grab that rainwater? Because what he's been able to do is he's grabbing rainwater. You've done this with salt water too, and you can turn it into drinkable water as well. Take a look at this, by the way.
Well, Kelly, I wanted folks at home to know that a lot of the gear that you and I are going to kick around this morning, yes, I've used it in extreme places, probably as far away as China. But when the outside comes inside, if you're in an emergency situation, if you're watching your forecast, let's say, and someone goes, oh, it's going to get really bad today, this gear is stuff that could save your life or your family's life. And this I just brought, this is the rainwater that we take a sip from.
And I did ask him before if I could try a drink as long as he didn't mind my lip gloss.
And what was my answer?
You didn't mind having a little lip gloss on this.
I didn't mind it at all, not in the least. But we harvest the rainwater as it comes. Isn't that great?
It's really good.
Refreshing, but no taste to it. And from a company called Cat9, they make filters. Water goes into the bag. It's called their base camp. Drips right in, so all the water on board is harvested rainwater.
Okay, let's keep walking. The solar panels obviously also help with ways to power this baby, but you've got some great products that we wanted to go through. Some of them extremely environmentally friendly, just like this Cat9 product, but also some items that we all need to be thinking about no matter what with our families, whether we're vacationing or not.
And this is one that I found that I wanted to show you quickly how it works. This is a company, Kaylee, called Spot. Now everyone says, oh, you have these little beacons that'll work if you get in trouble, and that's true. You hit 911 and it'll send out search and rescue teams. But here's what I thought you'd kind of dig. I'm going to see if I can tilt it so the camera can see it. You also can send a message letting folks know you're okay. Here is the actual lat-long actual map of the studio right here. The message is sent, as you reminded me, from Google Earth, the Spot unit to Google Earth, and it plays right up on my iPhone. You can text folks. So if you do go out, let's say you and I go out mountain biking, and we tell, because we're not going to break that cardinal rule of always let someone know where you're going to go and when you expect to come back.
Right.
So you and I have told someone we're going to be back at noon, but we're having a blast in mountain biking anywhere we want to go. We decide we want to stay longer. When we hit the OK button, we say, hey, Kaylee and Brian are having a good time. Don't worry about it. Leave us be. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So it's all kinds of units in one, just a little Spot unit.
Very cool. You've also got some sunscreen, which is something that we all need to be thinking about every single day here in the desert Southwest.
Sunscreen is a big deal, but don't forget, when they talk about SPF, that's for sunscreen, there's also ultraviolet protection factor, and that's in clothing. I've got a shirt, I've got a hat that blocks 50% of the sun's harmful UV rays. So don't always just think about topicals, which can wash off. Look for clothing. A bunch of different companies, my hat's from Tilly, a bunch of different companies make them, but you really want to focus on blocking those rays of the sun. This I brought for folks, and I guess maybe I could have let off with this. This is from a company, Kaylee, called Adventure Medical Kits. Why I like it is, yes, I've used it all over the place in extreme situations, but if you're at home, if you're in your car, something happens, say, to one of the kids, it's got the Easy Care system, and what that means is, in a panic situation, you open it up, Right here it says wound cares, burns, blisters, whatever emergency situation you're in. It's like having a doctor saying, slow down, take a deep breath, I'll get you through it. In the outdoors, we say, if you panic, you perish. So that's one of the little things that we can do so that you're in that emergency situation, like, what am I going to do? And you're losing precious time. Adventure Medical Kits is a great way not to lose that time.
Well, just in speaking of time, because I don't want to run out of time, I do want to go through this one really quickly again. Yeah, pull this out, because this is a water filtration system.
It is from Katadyn, and the thing that I like about this one is I can take this, okay, and I've used this, as I said, as far away as China. I dip this down in the water. It's got the Virostat cartridge on the inside, which means it knocks out Cryptosporidium, E. coli, Giardia. We could take this in any water source, give it a squirt, and I'm able to drink that water. Human body, by volume, 70% water. We can go, people say, well, how are you able to go without food?
Right.
Look at me. I can last a couple of weeks without food. We don't want to go a couple hours, especially on the weather, as you forecast it, in this type of temperature, way too hot to not be having cool, fresh water all the time.
Well, Brian, you are a wealth of information. He's got a great website. We're going to put a link on ours to his. One of my favorite things about visiting with you is, one of the questions I said was, how come more people don't think about this? Well, I think that living green a lot of times is associated with guilt. We don't have to feel guilty about this. We can feel good about making some very simple decisions. Appreciate your time.
Not at all, my friend. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
Let's